I've got 3 potential adjustments for game 2 for the Celtics and 1 plea for Joe Mazzulla and that late game offense. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every day with a free, fresh podcast dropped directly to your device if you're a subscriber. So hit that subscribe button on whichever podcasting app you use to get this show once it's dropped. It's also on YouTube, so check it out there. Hop into the comments section. Fight all the Sixers fans because they're in there talking their mess. I'm John Karalis. I used to play once upon a time. Now I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Today I'm giving you adjustments, a few different adjustments ranging from basically do it again to bench Al Horford. That's coming up in the next 2 segments. And in the third segment, a plea to the Boston Celtics, Joe Mazzulla. And it's about the late game offense. That's coming up later in the third segment. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. A championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. So for parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Guaranteed Fit. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So game 2, is on Wednesday night here. This is the Wednesday podcast. So let's talk about what the Celtics can do. Rewatching the game, there's 2 things that stand out. One is the defense that they were playing on Harden and the other guys who got going, like DeAnthony Melton and Tobias Harris for a couple of, he chipped in, and anybody that got a shot off of Harden's double teams and the Celtics defensive mistakes. That really was something that stood out. And then the late game offense, which obviously everybody's talking about. So what are the adjustments that can be made? So like I said, in the next 2 segments, I'll talk about, I'm going to ramp up. I'm going to start with number 1. Do nothing different. Is there an adjustment to be made? Maybe not. Maybe you look at game 1, and I know people if you're driving, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to drive off the road. If you're in the shower, I didn't mean for you to slip and fall and injure yourself. I'm not responsible for that. Things that you might react to on the podcast, I'm not responsible for injuries that they may cause. So I'm sure it's in the fine print somewhere, somehow. But no, really, I think you start with, maybe you just look at it realistically and you say, James Harden dropped 45. How much better can James Harden be than 45 points on 57% shooting and 50% from 3? You can sit there and say, even if he does that again, how likely is it that he is going to do that again? Look, Harden is not exactly who he used to be. So you can take the chance and say, all right, 45 points on incredible shooting. Do it again. Prove to me that you can do it again. And they might say, hey, he did it once. He got home court. Doesn't matter. But if the Celtics say to themselves, we're cool. We're cool with the game plan. What really happened in this game was we just didn't execute it well. You know what? I can buy it. I can buy the argument where you say, okay, they gave up 119 points. 45 went to Harden. So if you play Harden just better and he scores 30 or 35, all right, well, there's 10 points off of that. If you just take one of those 3-pointers away from everybody, else that played off of Harden and got those 3-pointers, you could take another 9 points off of that. Just one 3-pointer from Melton, one from Niang, one from Tobias Harris. That's it. There's 9 points. The 20 points off of turnovers are baked into that number, but you can get from 119 to 100 pretty quickly defensively just by preventing the role players from hitting 1 3-pointer apiece and holding James Harden to 35, which is still a great game, but not 45. You get down to 100 points pretty quickly. And that gives the Celtics opportunities. If you're not turning the ball over and giving up some of these opportunities, you're presumably scoring more points. So the 115 should go up to 120, 122, 120. Like, I can see being talked into, we've just got to do the same stuff that we did with the same personnel, just better. The double teams on Harden. You look at the double teams, they were weak. They were telegraphed. They didn't do anything to accomplish what a double team is supposed to do, which is get the ball out of that player's hands. The double teams on Harden basically allowed him to just make a play. You just left somebody open and put your teammates on an island, and Harden was very easily picking those apart, getting it to the open man. And I want to say he was accepting the double teams. He wasn't even doing that because the double teams had no force. They weren't moving towards him. They weren't really being aggressive. He wasn't feeling any of the defense. So increase the physicality on James Harden. If you're going to double, do it with some force. Do it so he actually is just, get the ball away, and not just him hitting an open guy, swing, open 3-pointer. You want to have a little bit of panic. You want to have that turn into a turnover. You want to have that, or at least the pass that comes out of that double team, you want to have that be somewhere up above the 3-point line, so it's not in the middle of the lane, or it's not one pass away. So if you want to do the same thing, just do it better. Double team with more force. Stay up on the shoot. When the role players are catching the ball, just get up into their airspace a little bit more. Be crisper. Communicate better. I think you can make an argument that the Celtics start the first quarter with the same plan or a similar plan, and you go, just be smart. Protect the ball. Don't do stupid things with the ball to turn it over. Don't lose your mind defensively. Don't freelance defensively. Just stick to the game plan. But when somebody goes to double, everybody communicate behind so we know, hey, we're overloaded on this side. You can step up and, somebody, Jaylen Brown, if he's the last guy on the baseline, he can tell somebody to get out of the way. Tell Tatum, get out of the way. Tell Derek White, get out of the way. I'm going to be up here. You can direct traffic behind the double team. So that stuff can be done just better. Looking at the game again, I can buy it. I can buy the argument that, and it's not just a matter of, oh, well, I don't believe the Sixers can do this again. No, it's not the case. I believe the Celtics can play defense better by a mile than what they did. I believe the Celtics can actually do what they were supposed to do, but do it with force, with effort, with I don't know what the words I'm looking for here is, but with purpose. Purpose is a good word. Make your movements with purpose. Don't just fly around. Don't just double for the sake of doubling. So that's number one. Do what you did in game one. Just do it. I mean, I'm saying do it better. How about just do it well? You did it poorly in game one. I really felt like the Celtics were casual in game one. I felt the defense was casual in that they just said, hey, we're gonna give a little bit of effort up front. We're not gonna do all the secondary, second, third, fourth things that we're supposed to do because we're just gonna go down and score anyway. You don't have Embiid, we're just gonna go score. But that didn't work because they got too casual and they let the role players get going. Like Malcolm Brogdon said after the game, it's one thing for Harden to have 45. You live with 45 from Harden. And he's right. You can't have the role players doing what they did. You can't have Maxey going for 20 plus. You can't have Melton going 5 for 5.5. You can't have that. That's where the Celtics got too casual. When Al Horford said he thought the Joel Embiid stuff impacted them, it wasn't necessarily we're going to play down, and you might believe this is semantics, but I just felt like they got a little loose, a little casual, and that's why they turned the ball over a bunch. And that's why you didn't see the tightness of the double teams. That's why you didn't see rotations the way they were supposed to be behind it. So, hey, you want to go in there in the first quarter, the first half, and say, let's just see. Let's just see if the game plan can be executed better or executed well. And then we'll adjust from there. What are the next two adjustments? We're escalating the adjustments. I'll do the next two next, which involves Jayson Tatum taking a big defensive assignment. That's next. First, today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is online therapy that's made for your schedule, and it really solves a big problem when it comes to therapy, the convenience factor of it all. You're busy. You're moving around. You've got things to do, whether it's school, work, family, kids, pets. Your day is full. You can't possibly think of a moment where how am I going to find a therapist, drive to this therapist, hope that this therapist is good, and then block out the time to talk to this therapist. Well, I know that finding a good therapist from personal experience is actually very, very helpful, beneficial. And if you're thinking about starting, BetterHelp is actually going to help you out a lot because it's entirely online, convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire and you get matched with a licensed therapist. If it doesn't work out with that therapist, just switch. They'll find you somebody new, no additional charge. So it's worth checking out. Find more balance in your life. Whether you just want to talk some things through or you've got some bigger things that you want to get off your chest, self-improvement, anything, check it out. I'm telling you, therapy is going to really help you out. BetterHelp.com. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Go there. You'll get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check out tomorrow's show. It'll be a post-game show, post-game to hopefully from the Garden. I don't think they're turning it over. So I'll still be there at the Garden podcasting from my media seat. So check that out. Hopefully after a win. We'll see. Marcus Smart is listed as questionable with a chest contusion. We saw him kind of trying to work through that in the game. Hopefully he's okay. So check that out. Let's get back into the next adjustment that the Celtics can make. We talked to Malcolm Brogdon after the game. He said, maybe you don't double. So, okay. So that's an adjustment. Let's play Harden straight up. Let's go a step further, right? Harden straight up, stay home on those role players. So don't let Maxey get going. Shut him down. Don't let Melton get going. Shut him down. Don't let Harris get going. Shut him down. And if Harden goes off for another 45, shrug. Okay, congratulations. Hey, wow, what a stretch. 90 points in 2 games. Loss, because now you don't have the help from the other side. Mixed into that, I would go in that scenario, I would put Jayson Tatum on James Harden. Put Marcus Smart on Tobias Harris. Maybe you can bait Tobias Harris into taking some shots because he's taller and maybe he thinks he can shoot over the top of Marcus Smart. But I know that any kind of pressure that Marcus Smart puts on Tobias Harris will disrupt his shot. So I feel like if you do that, if you just make that little switch, then maybe that'll work out. But at the very least, I think Tatum's length, I think Tatum's quickness, I think Tatum's instincts would be very helpful. I want to see Tatum take that James Harden matchup because, look, Harden isn't as quick as he used to be. And he's had the injuries with his foot. He's had the Achilles issues. That's why he wasn't so great from 2 in the first round series against Brooklyn. So let's put that to the test a little bit more. If you want to guard him straight up, get somebody with some length that can play off of him a little bit, right? Tatum is bigger. He's longer. He's athletic enough to bother the shot, but you can play off him another half step. So you're not really risking the blow by quite the same way. The downside is you have one of your primary scorers taking on a really strong defensive assignment, and that could impact him on the other side. But hey, the Celtics have Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon and Rob and Al and all those. There's a lot of scoring that the Celtics can do. I'm not worried about taking away from Tatum's offense as much. Give him that defensive assignment. Let's show us what you can do there with that Harden assignment. And yeah, I'm sure Harden will try to switch. I'm sure Harden, if it works and Harden has trouble, they'll just try to hunt whatever switch they can get. And we'll see. Does Tatum fight through that? Do you switch everything? Do you play drop on the pick and roll and have Tatum chase over the top and push Harden a little deeper? I think part of the reason why Harden was stepping into wide open shots, if you're going to chase over the top, you got to push him into the heart of the defense. Again, use your length, use your athleticism to understand that Harden is going to try to stop. He's going to try to draw the fouls on you. And that's another risk that when you put Tatum in there, you do risk him getting into foul trouble, and you don't want that. But just Tatum understands the tricks. Harden's going to stop short, and he's going to try to draw fouls. Be aware of that. Chase, but under control. And if Harden stops short, just be under control and try to slide out of his way, and understand, just slide to his left and challenge that shooting hand, and maybe you can get a backdoor, a rear view block shot, or just challenge it. But I'm willing to put Tatum on there and let's see. And hey, if you get a switch, you get a switch. But the second adjustment is straight up, stay home on everybody else and say, all right, Harden, we challenge you to do it one-on-one. And go ahead, work hard, because the Celtics will put you in a blender on defense, and that'll be an option to kind of break down that Sixers defense anyway. So defend with your offense, defend with your defense. And if he hits the shots, he hits the shots. But what you're not going to get is 40 plus points from the other guys that now put you at a disadvantage. So it's almost like the guard version of the Embiid defense. I don't care if Harden goes off for 50. I really don't. If you hold everybody else to less than 50, you're good. So don't double. Don't do any of that stuff. Try Tatum on Harden. Just guard him straight up. And if he goes off, he goes off. The third adjustment would be the most extreme. But it's not as bad as it sounds. Start Robert Williams. Move Al Horford to the bench. And this is just with Embiid out. If they want to go this route, which I think is, I do it third because you want to start at the first one. All right, maybe it's not going as well as you think. Let's try playing Harden straight up. Maybe the first one, you're doubling too much, or it's still kind of the same. The other guys are getting going. So you go to the second thing and you say, all right, we're going to play Harden straight up. We're going to try that drop coverage, and Horford is getting cooked a little bit. Hate to say it, but that matchup without Embiid, Horford's getting cooked. He's just getting cooked. And part of the problem is that when Horford switches on to Harden, you can stay in front of him, but Harden is just too stop and start. So when Horford is going in one direction, it's because of his size and his age. It's just harder for him to stop and keep up with somebody who can step back like Harden can. And as Horford said after the game, Harden likes to kick his feet out. So if you're rushing straight out at him, he kicks those feet out, you're at risk of getting a cheap foul. So it's a little bit more difficult. So what do? Maybe you switch Rob in there. Rob can change directions a little bit better. He's more athletic, younger. Okay, he's quicker. He jumps through the roof. So put Rob in a situation where even if he doesn't get to the ball, maybe when Harden's on the floor, you match him with Robert Williams as the big. You make Harden think maybe he can get to the ball, because I've seen him get these crazy block shots. Anything that can make Harden just think a little bit, fade away just an extra little bit. Maybe that shot falls short. Maybe Harden tries to overcompensate and one of them hits the back rim. Really, the difference we're looking at here is if you're going to go this route and Harden is the main scorer out there, can you get him to miss a little bit more? Instead of shooting 57%, can you get him down to 47% and have him miss some of those shots? Again, I don't care if he scores 30. If you have Rob in there and you can limit some of these other guys and you're challenging Harden's jump shot and you have Rob in there that makes Harden think a little bit, say, ooh, maybe I don't want to take this shot. And the important thing if Rob's going to do this is stay down. Stay on your feet, because he's going to pump fake. The book on Rob is, hey, if he's out there, give him that little pump fake, see if he's going to bite, because Robert Williams still loves to jump. So put it to the test. Let's see. But considering how often Horford was involved in the defense and how easy it was for Harden to get going, I can see, I don't know if you start the game 2 with Horford on the bench, but part of why I propose this is maybe in the second half, the Celtics go with Rob to start. If you go with that first plan, which is, hey, let's try this again. Let's run it back and see if we can do it better. Okay, that's not working. Second quarter, let's try him playing him straight up. Nope, that they're running that pick and roll and he's going at Horford and Horford's just not getting there. Now, third quarter, maybe you start Rob and instead of 3 distinct adjustments that you can make, maybe it's just escalating in each quarter. Let's try this. Okay, not working. Let's try this. Okay, not working. Let's try this. And you go with Rob and you just match up Rob and Harden's minutes and you try to get more athletic. And even if there's some success if Harden still has some success, maybe you can limit it some. Maybe that still gives you the opportunity to stay home on the other guys and Rob can still grab some rebounds or tip some out or just make some of those plays where Horford, unfortunately, because of the athleticism that the Sixers have, that they rely on more with them Embiid out, he just can't make those plays. But I will say, I'll be clear, be very, very clear. It's not an outright benching, because he would just come off the bench. And maybe you just put Jalen McDaniels to the test. You can use more Grant Williams in this scenario. But when Joel Embiid is back, if he's back in this series, Horford goes right back to starting and right back to guarding Embiid. This is strictly a matchup thing. It's not a punishment. It's not anything like that. This is simply hey, it is what it is. Rob's more athletic. Let's see if he can get some challenges out there and make Harden think. If the goal is to play Harden straight up and he gets the switch onto Rob, I like that a little bit better than the switch onto Al Horford. Up next, a plea to Joe Mazzulla, a plea to the guys and the offense down the stretch. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check me out on the Locked On NBA podcast. I'll be on there with Jake Madison. I'm back with the Celtics off on a Tuesday night. I get to go talk NBA with Jake on the Locked On NBA podcast. So check that out. Obviously, the two games, Joel Embiid winning MVP is going to be a topic. Dylan Brooks being summarily dismissed by the Memphis Grizzlies in a wild fashion. That's going to be on the show as well. So check all that out on the Locked On NBA podcast. All right, guys. I'm speaking directly to Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics. The last few minutes of these games have been brutal. And what I don't understand is why the Celtics have changed their approach to such a degree down the stretch. We talk about, and Joe talks about, the pickup points defensively. You want to pick up higher. You want to pick up in the backcourt. You want to pick up as soon as they get over the half court line, because you want to drain that shot clock. You want to get that team to start their offense somewhere around 12, 11, 10. So when they make a move and you stonewall them, they don't have a lot of options. When they make a move, make one pass, you stop that. They make another pass, you stop that. All of a sudden, the shot clock's down to like 5, and they've got to do something, and you're really in a good spot as a defense. So with that being the case, I want to know why the Celtics routinely run the shot clock down to 13, 14, 13, 12 late in the game to start their offense. Why are you willingly starting your offense at a point where defensively you want the other team to start their offense? Why are you doing that? Why aren't you just running good offense? Why aren't you just coming down and running a play like normal? Started at 18. You got the ball over half court, start the play. And I know the answer is going to be, well, at that point, it's a possession game. If you're up, however many points you're up, the goal is to basically not lose the last 3 minutes by more than that amount. You up 10, you don't want to lose the last 3 minutes by more than 9, which is a horrible way to think. Joe Mazzulla, I've criticized him for this a lot this season. It still feels like, and it's going to be the case for a while, that he just goes by the numbers. And this isn't some sort of anti-analytics thing. I believe in analytics. I understand what the numbers are. But basketball is a game played by human beings. And sometimes the numbers kind of fly in the face of what you want the human beings to be doing and thinking in this moment. If you're so concerned about an extra possession or two in the last 5 minutes, I got to say, you've kind of lost already. Because to me, I'm not worried about that. I'm not so afraid of the other team's possessions that I'm going to stop what's working for me and do something different. Do you understand that mentally you're asking your team to do something different, and you're basically sending a message? We are afraid of what the other team's going to do with 2 extra possessions in this game, because that's really what it adds up to. You take 4 seconds off of how many times you have to get? 4, 8, 12, 16. So 16 is the mark where you get it over half court. So 4 possessions before you get that extra 16 seconds. So in the last few minutes, how many possessions do you really have? You've given the other team, maybe you've saved the other team from having 1 extra possession. Now I understand, okay, it's a tight game, it's a 2-point game, it's a 3-point game. That extra possession can mean something. Okay, I get that. I get that mentality. However, you're the Celtics, owners of the second best offense and the second best defense in the regular season. Why are you so afraid of defending 1 more possession? You know what? This is like last year when they went and they beat the Bucks, and they took that seed. And remember, they said, we're not afraid of, this. We're not afraid of, we're not hiding from anybody. Well, I loved that attitude. Apply it to this. Go out there and score the damn ball. Run your normal offense. Run it like you know how to run it. And if you score with 6 seconds on the shot clock, so be it. If you score with 4 seconds on the shot clock, so be it. If you score with 10 on the shot clock, so be it. Go down to the other end and trust your defense. Get a score, get a stop. Get a score, get a stop. You don't have to do that every single possession, because when you get score, stop, and you're up 3, now you're up 5, now you're up 7, now it's a free throw game. You just got to do it a couple of times. Then you're going to get fouled, and then you just got to hit your free throws, and you put the game away. Please throw the numbers away for a second. Challenge your team to defend down the stretch. Defend without fouling. Get out there. Play strong defense. Play your offense with some confidence. Don't worry about all the extraneous stuff. Go score. When you have an advantage, take it. Don't wait. Don't give up an advantage. Probe. If you get the ball, go. Run. Probe the defense. If you get a quick layup, great. You've put points on the board. Now come back and defend. Get a stop. Trust what is supposed to be an incredibly good defense, which hasn't been in the playoffs. Trust that defense to get a stop. It's very, very simple. And this is where I think just the numbers get too into people's heads. I understand the math. I believe in math. Math is kind of irrefutable in a lot of ways, except when it takes human beings away from what they do comfortably. Now you're putting your guys in a position to act differently. You're putting your guys in a position to fail because suddenly they're not doing what they've done the whole game. You're putting your guys in a position to play differently enough where it throws them off. Go run your offense, throw the numbers out, go get a stop, play good defense, get a rebound, and go score again. Just do it a couple of times. I'm telling you, then you get a big enough lead where they have to start fouling and they start to get desperate. It's simple. I think basketball is a simple game sometimes. And I think sometimes you can overcomplicate it with a little too many numbers, a few too many numbers. Throw the numbers away, please. Feel the game, please. Give the game what it needs. The game will tell you what it needs. Don't force numbers down the game's throat. The numbers are guidance. They're not the rule. They're not the law every single time because people play the game. And just as long as people play the game, numbers will have to be joined by feel. I feel like this podcast is over. So the next podcast is going to be the post-game podcast. Make sure you're subscribed, whichever app you use, Spotify, some other app, Apple. Just hit that subscribe button. As soon as this podcast publishes, you'll get it right to your device. Same thing if you ring the bell on the YouTube page, hop into the comments section. Lots of conversation in there. Lots of people calling me out for being so overly confident. Oh my God. People do not like the fact that I'm confident in this team. And people do not like the fact that I actually believe in this team to be a championship team. I'm really getting a lot of crap from people who are like, oh, you're so arrogant. You say, I believe what I believe. I believe that this team is really damn good. And if they play like they're supposed to play, they should make short work of the Sixers. I'm sorry. They should. They should. Even Sixers fans who do other Sixers podcasts believe that this is a horrible matchup and that the Sixers are going to lose. Or they said, at least they believe that going into the series. And they might still. But anyway, hop into the comments section. If you want to yell at me for in that same manner, okay, fine. Or if you want to defend me, please. I would love a little backup in there. And you regular listeners, if you want to share the podcast, I'd love it. If you shared the podcast, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.